Bum 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 bum. Good morning. Morning, Kevin. Vamos. With the help of Hashem, we are learning Shabbos Daf Kuv Zayin. We are learning the sugya of tzad, of trapping. And as we will see, that the concept of trapping is taking the freedom away from that is becoming trapped. And because of that being the definition of tzad, as the sugya will play out, there is not only an involvement of the one who is doing the trapping, but there's also some involvement of, here in our cases, of the animals that are becoming trapped. And as we will play out the sugya, that if the animal doesn't feel that it is trapped, therefore it doesn't behave like it is trapped, then you did not do any trapping as of yet.
Rabbi, Kevon doesn't realize that he's not muted. Can you ask Kevon to mute himself?
We're going to learn another nuance over here, which is very important. And this is really a Hasidic nuance, that the higher up you go, higher up meaning when you connect to a higher level in Torah, the more precise the Torah must be. Okay. We're going to learn the statement of Shmuel. We already quoted the statement of Shmuel earlier on in the Masechta, that kol peturei de Shabbos patur avol asur. Whenever we use the word patur in Hilchos Shabbos, patur doesn't mean that it's okay. Patur means that you're not chayiv midairaisa. It's still prohibited midrabanan. However, there are three cases, one of which we'll learn today, where even though Chazal for some reason uses the word patur, it doesn't mean patur, it means muter. And we're going to start, God willing, the 14th chapter, Shmoina Shiratzim, right, in Parsha Shmini, aside of the fact that all of the Shiratzim are not kosher to eat, but 8 of them, when they're dead, they convey Tumah. And they convey Tumah even when you have a piece ke'adasha from them. And the reason how does Shmoina Shiratzim, how is that connected to Hilchos Shabbos? So we're going to speak about the malacha of choivel. Choivel means to wound. We mentioned this even yesterday. Now, why is someone chayiv if they wound someone else? So there are a couple of things over here. We're going to be focusing on specifically the wound in which the blood doesn't break through the skin. When the blood breaks through the skin, we're going to go with the shita that wounding is connected to the av of shchita, of netilas neshama. Netilas neshama doesn't have to be that the person or the animal died. It means that they became weaker, that some of their neshama, some of their dam and nefesh bedam left the animal. But what's going to happen if blood does not leave the animal at all, but you wound the person to the point that the blood comes all the way up to the surface? So today you would call this, and that being has now, I would say, a black and blue mark. So based on the rule that any chabura that is reversible, no blood left, even though the skin is red, if it's going to completely go back to the way it used to be, that's also not called a chabura. Chabura for Shabbos is only a chabura she'eino chayzeres, a irreversible chabura. Now this is a biological thing. Only beings, only creatures that have thick skin, on them do we say that if you can see the wound from the other side, from the outside of the skin, that means that much blood went to the surface. That is a chabura she'eino chizeres, for which you'll be chayiv for choivel on Shabbos. If the creature has very thin skin, we're speaking specifically in the case where the blood does not break through it, it just looks black and blue, or it looks reddened. It looks reddened, but the skin is so thin, so any minute amount of blood gives it a reddish color. And over there we will say that such a wound will reverse itself and you won't be chayiv. So really it's going to be a gavaldik topic that we're going to spend a lot of time on to analyze whether all of these shmoyne shiratzim skins, whether they are halachically considered thick skin, whether it's considered the hide, and that will be the case, then if it becomes red, then you are over on choivel. Or do we say no, that some of them, as we'll see, it's a machlekes tanoim elsewhere in Chulin, that some of the skins or all of the skins are not considered thick, and even if it becomes red, as long as the blood does not leave the body of the sheretz, then you're not going to be chayiv for choivel. We're going to learn the concept that if you trap, coming back to trapping, because trapping and wounding will be put together, as we'll explain. That davar she'ein b'minay nitzoy, which means that if there is a species that is normally not trapped, and I give you an example, a mosquito. So there's going to be a machlokes tanoim whether you're going to be chayiv for trapping it or not. Like if you have a box and you're living in a place where it's very tropical, during the season where it's filled with mosquitoes, can you close the box on Shabbos? Do you have to worry that maybe there's a bug in there, maybe there's a mosquito in there, and they will be trapped when you close the box? So first you'll have to know whether this is a davar shebeminoy nitzad. No one traps mosquitoes. People don't go hunting for mosquitoes. And that already takes it down a notch to a derabanan, according to some tanoim. And then we're going to add other details, as we'll speak out on today's daf, which perhaps as the Taz paskins, you are allowed to close a box or close a door and not worry that there might be a mosquito inside. As we'll explain, this is called a suffix psikration. Okay, we left off on daf kuvav amid beis, mamish middle of amid by the three dots, right? After we went through the Mishnah and the Braisa, Masechtas Beitza, and the Gemara concluded that L'kula Alma, there are different types of enclosures, right? And in the context of Yom Tov, you can shecht an animal, Yom Tov, you can kill a fish, but you may not trap them. So the question was whether it was trapped from already before Yom Tov, then those animals will not be muktzah, v'chuli, whether even though they were in an enclosure, but they're not yet considered trapped. So we went through it, we reconciled the Mishnah and the Braisa, and now we came to a point where it depends what type, what size of bevar, the bigger it is, the less the animal is trapped there. The animal does not feel that it lost its freedom. It's not yet trapped. If it's a smaller enclosure, then the animal loses its freedom, then the animal is already considered trapped. Now, in our Mishnah, now that's where we left off, right? The Gemara is going back to the Mishnah, Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel Oimer. What does he say? He says these words in the Mishnah, that loy kol habivar and shavin, they're not all the same. So on that, Amar Rabbi Yosef, Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Amar Shmuel, halacha ki Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel. Very good. Okay. So asks the Gemara, Amalei Abaye, why do you say the halacha is like him if that really implies that there is a machlokes? Halacha machlal de pligi. When we just finished, as we learned at the end of yesterday's sugya, to reconcile the Mishnah and the Braisa in Beitza, that everyone is moida, that just because something is in a bevar, it depends what size. As we gave the three different options of understanding the large bevar, the small bevar. Now, the challenge that Abai is having is not that we don't paskin like Rashbag. He just asked, why do you have to chazer halacha ki Rashbag if no one argues? For sure the halacha is like him. He's not arguing on the din, he's arguing on the statement. So Amalei, so Rabbi Yosef tells Abaye, my nafka mina. So what do you care? Okay, so my words that halacha ki Rashbag implies that there is a machlokes. Okay, Zolzain, that there's no machlokes. You're agreeing that my statement is correct. Okay, l'kul alma, right? Loy kol habivar and shavin. So Abaye tells Rabbi Yosef, no, don't tell me that. Amalei, hey, you're telling me to learn only as a song. If you're making a statement, this statement has to be authentic, not only in what it is explicitly saying, but also what it is inferring. And being that that statement implies that there is a machlokes, then I won't repeat your statement. It's very interesting that at the end of the Sefer Tanya, in the Kuntras Achren, right, the Alter Rebbe actually writes an essay on David's Midrash Kori Somahu. If you remember that whole statement over there. David HaMelech Taken Kufyutes Zmiro Yisrael Chukecha. And there is a Midrash or a Zoyar that Hashem criticized David. You're making my Torah into a melody. And the Alter Rebbe explains that there are many levels to the Torah. Atakan of one Madrega, the Torah is a Zmira. And he explains Al Pi Chasidis, the meaning of a Zmira is that all, Alter Rebbe writes, Shekol Ha'elam is B'Teilam L'Gabel Digduk Echad. One little Digduk in the Torah changes all the worlds. And this evokes the feeling that Torah is a Zmira, it's a melody. But then there is even a higher level of Torah. On that level of Torah, the world doesn't even exist yet. And Hashem was expecting of David that he should connect to what level of Torah, not only to the level of Zmiros, but to a higher Madrega. This is mamash connected to the Sugi over here. When he said, Halacha Kerashbag, it's emes, Halacha is Kerashbag. Elama, when you go up to a higher level of Torah, the higher up you go, the more precise things have to be. So they make an inference, Halacha Machlal de Pligi, no one argues. So he says, doesn't matter. So he's arguing it does matter. You have to learn Torah on the highest of levels, and the highest of levels, everything has to be Meduyak B'Yoyser, and it's not Meduyak to go ahead and to say, Halacha Kerashbag, when no one argues. So you're saying, doesn't matter, don't learn Torah on that highest level. That is exactly what David HaMelech did. He made the Torah into a melody, and it's better, it's ideal to learn Torah on yet even a higher Madrega. And over there, Torah has to be even more precise. Okay, Tanach Rabban. Back into trapping. If you trap a deer, this deer is either blind or the deer is sleeping. So you would argue, since, like we have been learning, something that's already trapped cannot be trapped again. It's already trapped. He's blind. How free is the deer anyway? No, you're chayiv. However, chiged, but if the deer is physically lame, or it is old, however you define old, or it is ill, here it's already considered trapped, and therefore you're pot. What's the difference between the Suma and the Yashin and the latter three? So he explains that Hani Avida L'Rabuye, which means that if you have a tzvi that's blind, if you have a tzvi that's sleeping, if it senses that someone is coming towards it, even though it has these handicaps, even though it's sleeping, it's going to sense it and it's going to run away. In other words, it doesn't feel that it is trapped yet. It feels like it's free. So therefore, when you trap it, you now took away its freedom. Hani, but a deer that's already chiged, a deer that's zakim, a deer that's chayla, lo yavida l'rabuye. If someone is going to go towards it, it's not going to try to run away. That means it feels like it is already bound. It doesn't feel that it is free. You can only, the definition of trapping is taking away someone's freedom or an animal's freedom. If it's bechlal not free, then you didn't trap it. You learned in Abraisa that ha'choyla chayiv. So which one is it? Choyla chayiv or is choyla pater? So the Gemara says it depends what type of choyla. Amar Abshesh is like Asher. The first Braisa, choyla, is pater. That's the first Braisa is a choyla machmas ishta. Choylas machmas ishta means that the deer has fever. Such a deer we will be chayiv for because it's still going to try to run away if someone is approaching it. So if you trap it, you took away its freedom. The latter Braisa speaking about b'choyla machmas uftsana means it's exhausted. And such exhaustion, it won't run away. If it won't run away, it's behaving as if it's already trapped. So therefore, you will not be chayiv. Okay. Very good. Tanach Rabban. Hatzot chagovim gizim or tziraim v'yatushim b'Shabbos. If you trap grasshoppers, right? Gizim is another type of grasshopper. Tziraim are bees or hornets or mosquitoes. What's the unique about all of these four? That these are not creatures that people ordinarily trap. There's no real benefit. We're not speaking about you trapping something for them not to bite you. We'll get to that in a moment. We're speaking about you using them. People normally don't use them, so people don't trap them. Nevertheless, Rabbi Meir holds they were free. You trapped them. You took away your freedom. You're chayiv. No, only kol shebeminay nitzad. Something whose species is usually trapped. That is where you're chayiv. The chol she'enim beminay nitzad. Then you're pater. And again, what makes something beminay nitzad? That is if people make use of it. That's very negei lamaisa, because if there are circumstances where people will make use of these creatures, then it becomes a beminay nitzad. Okay. Tanya idach. We learned in another brayso, hatzot chagovim b'shas hatal. Look at this. If you trap grasshoppers during the time that the dew is on the ground, and they are also on the ground, says Rashi, right? What's unique about the time of the dew? That einayim zok Rashi misavrois, that their eyes are blinded. They can't see because the sun is reflecting off the dew or the moisture of the dew. So since they are then already trapped, they're blind. Even though we learned before that a tzvi that's blind is not yet trapped. A grasshopper that's blind already feels like it's trapped. So then you're going to be pater. Guys, pater doesn't mean mutter, right? Pater means you're pater. However, b'shas hasharav, but if you trap grasshoppers when there's tremendous heat, and as the Rishonim point out, even though when there's tremendous heat, grasshoppers are less active. Less active doesn't mean they're trapped. They're only less active, but they're still free. So then you're going to be chayiv. That if they are coming in large groups, says Rashi, when grasshoppers come in large groups together, they're ready for you to take. You just take them. So then you're pater. Now the question is, on whom is Elazar ben Mahavai making the statement? Asks the Gemara in Boilu, they asked in the yeshiva, is Elazar ben Mahavai Aresha Koyin? In other words, he's being machmer. He's saying, now don't tell me that in the dew, you can always take them. No, even in the dew, you can only take them if they are in large groups. Or is Elazar ben Mahavai saying a kula? That when it says in the Sefer that b'shas hasharav you're chayiv, so he says, no, b'shas hasharav, if they're coming in a big group, then you will also be pater. So Tashema, all right, Braisa, this last Braisa is even more elaborate, and here it's clear. Hatzot chagavim b'shas hatal pater, b'shas hasharav chayiv, Elazar ben Mahavai yoimer, and here we have it clear that afilu b'shas hasharav, he's being lenient. Im ha'imakachos and boys, you will be pater. Okay, now just going back to this machlokes tanoim. Regarding, like I mentioned, there's a Taz. Can you close a box? That's the example the Taz speaks about in a location where there's many mosquitoes and there's a possibility that you have a mosquito in the box. So like this. First of all, your intent is not to trap the mosquito. We take a paskin like Rab Shimon. Davar she'ein mischavin, Rab Shimon says, is mutter. But where there's a psik reisha, then you go back to being chayiv. So just to be aware of a couple of things. If we're going to paskin that since mosquitoes, right, is kol shebeminay nitzod, only then you're chayiv, like the chachamim, and mosquitoes is not shebeminay nitzod, so then it's only an isur derabanan. Just to be aware that there's a big machlokes in the poskim whether we apply psik reisha by an isur derabanan, and that is a leniency. So even if you know for sure there's a mosquito in there, since it's davar she'ein mischaven, you just want to close the box, or I'll give you better, right? I'm not saying closing the door, because we learned this in the Mishnah. The house is so big that even if you close the door and the mosquito's in the house, you didn't trap the mosquito, because it has a lot where to run to. You'll have to jump at it a few times to get it. But in a box, there it's already smaller. It's a small davar. So kaidem kol, if it's an isur midrabanan, you can argue that it's a psik reisha by midrabanan. It doesn't make it into a problem. And again, we paskin like Rab Shimon, davar she'ein mischaven is mutter. Furthermore, even if we're going to paskin that there is a psik reisha by midrabanan, and by the way, the chumrah, everyone agrees that it's better to apply a psik reisha by midrabanan. Listen to these words, my friends. That Taz calls this a suffix psik reisha. It means if you don't know that there is a mosquito in there, there might be a mosquito in there. You're not mechuyev to make a bedik in the box to know whether you can close it or not. And even if it turns out that there was a mosquito in there, it's a davar she'ein mischaven, you did not know that there's a psik reisha, But it's not like when you're dragging a heavy bench. You can know that if you're dragging a very heavy bench outdoors in your backyard, you know your bench, you know your ground is going to make a chaydish, it's going to make a furrow in the ground. Here you don't even know if it's there. So a suffix psikration is not a psikration. And since it's a davar she'ein mischaven, so paskins the Taz, Rabbi Akiva Eger argues with him. That's a big topic over here, whether we adopt the concept of a suffix psikration, which is fantastic.
Rabbi,
yes.
I think the practical example for us is throwing trash in a bin where there might be flies.
Another good example, then he's saying throwing trash in a bin or closing a bin, because there the bin is very good. Again, the reason why the Taz says it's mutter is because even though, again, that's the word, even though he says that lechatchila we apply psikresha by Rabbanan, and we're going to go like the Chachamim, that it's koil shebeminay nitzad, and a fly is not beminay nitzad, but a suffix psikresha is not a problem, and therefore it's mutter. Okay, next, we're not done. We're just beginning this whole topic. It's fascinating of trapping. Tzvi shenichnas labayis. A deer enters a house. V'no'al echad b'fanav, and someone closed the door. What is the Mishnah trying to teach us? The act of tzad is not that you grab the animal or that you chase the animal. The act of tzad is that you took the freedom away from. So if the tzvi on its own went into the house and all you did was you closed the door, you b'chlal did not interact with the tzvi. Doesn't matter. You did something that took away the freedom of the tzvi, you're chayiv. Now let's go back to a din that we learned above. Shnaim shasu. No, shnayim. Two people close the door. Well, that's your bona fide case of shnaim shasu, and therefore on a doiraisa level, they're both pturim. However, let's go back to remember ze ena yachol v'ze ena yachol. But if it was a very large door, well, yachol echad lino, neither of them can do it on their own, and v'no alu shnayim. So then, according to the Chachamim, ze ena yachol yechayiv. And if you remember, that was a Mishnah on Tzadik Beis Amud Beis. The Tanach Shimon holds no. Even by ze ena yachol, he applies the het ptur of shnaim shasu. Very good. Says the Gemara, Amar Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba Amar Shmuel, Hatzod adi b'Shabbos. If you trap a lion on Shabbos, here's the vart, my friends, like we mentioned in the intro, that taking away the freedom, even though there is the trapper, but there's also the involvement of the trappee. How does the lion feel? A lion doesn't feel trapped that easy. A lion, even though you trapped him, unless you mamash put him up as a metal cage, he can break out whenever he wants. So therefore, if you trap a lion on Shabbos, ein chayiv. How great is that? You're not chayiv. Midrabanan, you're violating an issur derabanan. You did not biblically trap. The lion doesn't feel trapped or break out. Elama, achayachnesenu ligorziki shaloi. Gorziki is the race that big, the circuses, or some sort of real strong metal cage. Okay, then the lion is trapped. Then it's trapped, even if it feels like it's free. It's not going to feel that way. But as long as it's in a house, lamashal, you can't trap a lion in the house. That's why just the Mishnah gave an example of a tzvi and not of a lion. Now, why don't we speak about the shiur, the para? So just to speak out that many of the shoinim hold that these animals are already trapped. Again, they never feel free. They're very slow walking animals. They're kratzers. They don't have this feeling of freedom that you take away when you take hold of them. And therefore, a tzvi is a good example. A deer, it's not a lion. It doesn't have the koyach like a lion or like a bear. In other words, then it's a free roaming animal. And deer, taka, when you take away its freedom, that's the chiyuv of tzad. Now that we mentioned shnaim shasu, chevra halka, yashafu echad ala pesach, there is a deer in the house. We already said that closing the door is tzad. One person sits at the doorway, but the doorway is very wide. The person that sat there is very narrow. He did not fully block it, which means that tzvi right now can go out. So is the tzvi partially trapped? No, there's no such a thing as partially trapped. Zero trapped. And therefore, Yashav Hasheni Milahu, if the second person sits next to the first, and now the whole width of the doorway is closed, only the Sheni is chayiv. How geshmak is this? It's not Shnaim Shasu. It's not, I'll give you an example. If I bring a pot near the stove and then you put it on the fire, we don't say shnaim shasu because I did nothing. The first guy that sat at the door, if the animal doesn't feel trapped, nothing. Only the second guy did all of it. So the second guy is chayv. Now,
what about if they both sat together?
They both sat together. So let's say if it's ze'ene yachol v'ze'ene yachol tzrika, then it's going to be chayiv. If zeyachol v'zeyachol, if I can stand in a position l'chora that I could have done it all myself, very good, tzrika. But the chiddush here is that even though now both of them de facto are blocking, we don't view it that way. Now look at next case. Yashav harishin ala pesach hamilo. A doorway is not that wide, but it's very deep. It's very deep. So you know, so one guy stands in the part of the doorway that's karev labayis, and he fully blocks the deer. Ubo hasheni v'yashav b'tzidoi. The word tzidoi doesn't mean side by side. Tzidoi here means that the other person stands. He also occupies the whole width of the doorway, but he's karev to the reshus harabim. It's like a double door in thickness. Now the second person didn't add anything when he stood in there because the doorway was already fully blocked. Even if and when the first guy goes away, the din will always be Harishan Chayiv Hasheni Potter. How great is that? Favos, because when the first person gets up, at that moment, the second person is not actively engaging in doing a trapping. When the second guy went to the doorway, the animal was already trapped. Like we explained, you can't trap something that already lost its freedom. It's already without their freedom. When the first guy walks away, at that moment, the sheni is not doing anything. The animal never regained its freedom for the second one to take it away. So the second one is exempt, and we don't say, retroactively, he did walk to the doorway. And now that the first guy left, so his walking to the doorway was an act of trapping. We don't retroactively redefine that act of walking to the doorway, since then he didn't trap. And the Mishnah adds, and the Mishnah gives an example that is clearer, that we don't say retroactive trapping. Now the case of the Mishnah is a case where the second person knew that there was a deer in the house. Now, his standing there didn't trap it because it was already trapped, but at least he knew that his walking there is de facto, right, doubling up the fact that the deer cannot escape. What's going to happen, the Mishnah says, if this is the case, all right, you come to your house, unbeknownst to you, in a bedroom in your house, there's already a deer with the door closed. So there's a deer trapped in an inner chamber in your home. You don't even know about that. You're coming and you're closing your door. Happens to be the nimtzat tzvi shomer b'toichai. And shomer b'toichai means, like I said, it's locked in a room. After you close your door without knowledge b'chlal that you're doing a mice of trapping, that door was opened. Now that that door is opened, what is keeping the deer trapped? The fact that you closed the front door. Everyone will agree that the person who closed the door didn't do anything. Now, why is this case more clear than the case of the Mishnah? Look inside the last line in Tosfos at the end of the Amid. So the Tosfos says, the Salkavite Chamina, the Bob Yashav B'tzidoi Litzad Mishum the Mechse de Lois of Shmina Litzviuba. At least in the case of the Mishnah, right? The second person who came knew that there's a deer in the house. That's the case of the Mishnah. And Itaka the deer is trapped, but it looks like he's adding to the Shemitah. Here in the mashal, the person who closed his door didn't even know there was in there. And it's a given, the Mishnah is saying, that we don't retroactively say, now that the bedroom door is opened, that when you close your front door, that did trapping. No. When you did the Maisa, did you trap? No. Why not? Because you can't trap something that's already trapped. Trapping doesn't mean trapping. Trapping means taking away freedom. Once there is no freedom, there is no freedom. This is the Gavaldik of art of trapping. The animal doesn't have freedom. It's not shaykh for you to trap it again. Now, whatever took away the freedom is gone, and what you are doing is still preventing it from regaining its freedom. Who cares? Now you're not doing anything. Now you are already here. Okay, Chavra, right? It's 28 minutes in, and we get to Daf Kuf Zayin Amud Aleph. Says the Gemara, Amar Abba Bar Rabchi Bar Ashi Amar Rav, that what? That Nichnas Olitzi Portachas Kanafov, without any maisa of trapping, you're sitting doing your thing on Shabbos, a bird flies under your garments and it gets entangled there. You did not do an act. Now you are able to free it. You can undo it. You're not obligated to undo it. Says Rav Abba V'chuli in the name of Rav that Yoshev u'Mishamrei Achatechshach, you are allowed to sit, even though your sitting is de facto guarding it until the end of Shabbos. In other words, you're not mechuyev to make an opening to it. That's all based on the Mishnah. If you did not take away the freedom, even though from the way you are continuing the entrapment of, that's not Seder. Mamish like in the Mishnah. I'm standing at the door. My standing there is not allowing the deer to leave. I'm not oivet on Seder. Because when I went there, the deer was trapped already. I have the possibility of freeing it. I don't care. Me not freeing doesn't mean I'm trapping. How great is this? How can you say that? Says in our Mishnah that Yoshev Rishon al Pesach u'milahu u'ba Hashem v'Yoshev etzidai. So what are the words of the Mishnah that we just learned? Patur. And normally we have a rule, my friends. Patur means patur from a chatos. But at least it's asur midrabanan, my love pater avol asur. And why is it asur? Asur would mean not that when you went here you did nothing wrong. Asur would mean that it's asur for you to stand there because you're preventing the animal from regaining its freedom. At least midrabanan, that should be trapping. I'm stopping for a moment. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
Baruch Hashem, or something on my computer. So as says the no. This is one of the three exceptions. This Mishnah is one of the three exceptions. That so even the midrabanan means taking away freedom. If I am not doing an act that's taking away a freedom from whatever I'm trapping, I am not connected to tzad, even if I have the koyach of allowing something to become free. Not doing that is not tzad, even midrabanan. Here, pater means muter. And because since the Mishnah brings a raya from the last case in the Mishnah, from the mashal, like we spoke out on the Tosfos, that it makes even more sense that if the person who did the closing of the door didn't even know that they're doing trapping, they didn't even know that. So there you can't say retroactive trapping. It's more mistaber. There was no kavana for that. Right? Because why pater or muter? Because there, how can you say even the words? What are you going to say? The person is not standing there. There's nothing he can do. He can't walk away. He's not even there. He closed the door and he went away. What, he should have to come back and open the door? That's completely absurd. So shmami no, just like in the mashal, there pater must mean muter. So therefore in the nimshal, pater means taka pater or muter. There's another way of learning this. Ikada amri, same concept, just they got to it from a different angle. All right, regarding fakir to the din of Rav, that you're not obligated to release the bird. And in our Mishnah, it must mean pater or muter, is a raya to Rav that even on a rabbinic level, you're not obligated to free the bird. So the Gemara says maybe there's no raya from the Mishnah because maybe the Mishnah says, okay, might love the pater or muter, maybe not, maybe pater avol also. So the Gemara says, no, our Mishnah must mean pater or muter. It is based on the okay, the case of the Mishnah is you locked your front door, you went away. And there, of course, when the Mishnah says pater, there's nothing, you're not there right now to free the deer, you went away. So it must mean in the mashal, pater or muter, and that, so the nimshal, pater or muter, taka shmamino. And on that, Amar Shmuel, kol p'tur de Shabbos. Whenever Chazal say the words pater, that's the big klal. Chayiv is the eraisa. Pater means not okay. Pater means you're not chayiv biblically. You're not chayiv chatas. You're not chayiv skila. You're not chayiv kodesh. Pater always means in Shabbos avol asur lebar mahani klas. That here, for some reason, even though there has to be a reason, But the fact before the reason that pater here means pater mutter. One is this, our case. The second guy that stands in the doorway. The first guy completely blocked the doorway. Even though Chazal say the words he's pater, even after the first person walks away, there is no retroactive trapping. It means mutter. And again, we might pater mutter, because since it says in the mashal, and over there, not like in the case of the nimshal where he's standing there, at least you can argue, let him walk away. He closed the door. The door is doing it. So just like there it's mutter, here it's mutter. The second case is, it says in Mishnah in a duyos, we had this earlier on. If you make a hole in a pimple on Shabbos, if your kavana was lasei sleipeh, you want for the opening to remain in it. So Chavre, look inside Rashi, 7 lines from the top of the Amid. Let's go with the first sheet on Rashi. What will be the problem? Listen, when you make an opening that you want for that Pesach to remain, you're chayiv boina. Boina in a person. You're building an opening. So if your intent is for it to remain open, then you're taka chayiv. Im lo hoitzi lecha. If all you want is for some pus to leave, it says Rashi, you don't care whether it closes immediately or not. Then you're going to be pater. Pater, what's that pater? Let's Rashi. Pater doesn't mean midrabanan asur. Pater umuter, because the ein kan tikun. Normally, even though you're not making a permanent opening, but at least there's a reason why you're doing it. You want to alleviate some of the pressure of the pus. At least it should be asur midrabanan. Gezeda, you're going to want to keep the opening open. And by doctors, that's what they do. They make a hole and it remains open and it heals. More pus goes out later. Oxygen goes in there. So here, the Rabbanan never made a gezeda whenever you have tsar. And that's why when they say the word pater, it means pater mutter. And in the Gemara, the pater mutter, because Tetran, he brings that ayah. We have a Mishnah here in Shabbos where it says, Machat shal yad, a hand needle needs a sewing needle that you may handle it little by a sakoids, to take out a thorn. Taking out a thorn is the same thing. When you take out a thorn, you don't need for the opening to remain in the body. If you would want for the hole to remain, that's your kavana, then it's boina. No, you don't care. But you're removing the thorn. At least let it be asin midrabanan. And the words in the Mishnah is that lechatchila, that you can take a machad little by a sakoitz. That's a lashon of muter. Why? Because mishum tzara, there's no gzeira derabanan. And the third case, all of this, my friends, is connected, as we'll learn, God willing, on Kuf Zayin Amud Beis, to malacha she'ein tzricha legufa. In other words, you don't want the hole. You want to remove the kites. You don't want the Pesach. You just want to take the pus out. Let's go with that shita. Even though others can learn it differently, but the Gemara later on Daf Kuf Zayin Amud Beis links all of these three. That number one is malacha she'ein tzricha legufa, and where this is following the shita of Reb Shimon, that it is only aser midrabanan. Here it's not even aser midrabanan because of tzad. And the idach hatzad nachash b'Shabbos. If you're trapping a snake on Shabbos, why are you trapping the snake? If you want a snake in the sasik boy, shelo yishacheno, you're not trapping the snake because you want the snake. You're trapping the snake because you want to prevent the snake from biting you. That's a malacha she'ein tzricha legufa. So you're pater. That's normally the Rab Shimon. Now don't forget, normally Rab Shimon by malacha she'ein tzricha legufa doesn't say mutter. It's only pater. Here it's pater or mutter. However, if you're trapping a snake because you want a snake, today we know that the remedies for certain snake bites is you have to chop that snake. So if you want a snake, then you're chayiv. Then it's malacha she'tzricha legufa. Obviously, my friends, if it's pikuach nefesh, then it's allowed. That's something else. That's a heter of pikuach nefesh. Now, over there is the third case, that if you only want shelo yishachenu, pater means mutter. And umimayga pater mutter, because it says in a Mishnah in Shabbos that lachatchila, choifin, ka'ara ala neir, if you have a lamp and you don't want for the fire to catch on the wall, you are allowed to manipulate a utensil on the fire, not to put it out, but to prevent the flames from hitting the wall. And by the way, this is another whole chiddush we mentioned yesterday, that I cannot exert myself for muksa. The Mishnah is telling you that if I'm not exerting myself, I'm moving a keli for muktzah, that's allowed. A fire is muktzah. I'm moving a keli that you can do. Likewise, another shel tsoya. If I want to cover the tsoya of a minor, again, tsoya is muktzah, right? Muktzah machmas miyos. I am allowed to be metaltal a keli l'tsoydach muktzah. But then the third, the al akrav, and I'm allowed to be koif in a keli on an akrav. And here it means fully to trap it. I am trapping it. I'm trapping it because I don't want to be bit. Now, malacha normally is only patur avolasar, even let Shimon. Here it's patur umuter because the Mishnah uses the words of lachatchila, koifin ka'ara. So that's the third case where patur is patur umuter. On this we say hadran lacha. We'll come back to you ha'oreg and let us start with the 14th chapter of Shmoyne Shiratzim. Now, Chevra, in Parsha Shemini, the Torah is speaking about the laws of Tum and Tara. We're not speaking about kashrus. Kashrus-wise, no shiratzim are allowed to be consumed. A grasshopper is not called a sheretz, and even by a grasshopper, only some of them, as we learned in Chulin, are permissible to be eaten with all of the samanim v'chuli. Okay, now, just to give the words, the Shmoyne Shiratzim is choyled or chulda. Now, there is a machlokes almost on every single one of the Shmoyne. How do you teach them in English? I'm giving you one of the many interpretations. Choyled, the weasel. Achbar is a mouse or a rat. Tzav is a toad. Anaka is a porcupine. Koyach is called a chameleon. Wow, that is quiet. That means I pronounced it good. 6 is litah.
Chameleon, Rabbi.
Oh, I didn't pronounce chameleon. Litah is a lizard. Chaymet is a snail. And tinshemes is a mole. Or other meanings. Now, these 8 are going to come. In Shabbos. We're not speaking about creatures that when they're dead, they give off tuma, their matame. So it's connected, number 1, to tzad, and number 2, now to chayvel. So let's start learning the Mishnah. Says the Mishnah, Shmoyne Shiratzim ha tzad, if you trap them. Now we learned already today, the machlokes Rabbi made in the Chachamim trapping mosquitoes, this concept called shabbaminay nitzad. So you should know that it's common for people to hunt those Shmoyne Shiratzim. It's not like a mosquito. It's something that people trap for whatever reason. So it calls Shabbaminay Nitzad, even the Chachamim hold that it is included in the Isur of trapping. And number 2, Choyvel Behem Chayev. Here we go. What's Choyvel Behem? So like this. We're going to go with Rashi. We're going to go look inside the Rashi. Choyvel Behem Chayev. That the yesh lehem oir. That's the whole sugya today. If you wound any creature or human being and blood breaks through the skin, then you're always chayer for chayvel. What's the isur of chayvel? We're going to go with Shitas Rashi. Chayvel is connected to netilas neshama or to shchita. Shchita doesn't mean to kill. Shchita means you're removing their vitality. That's for sure. The Mishnah is dafka speaking about a wound that commonly happens when you trap an animal. When you trap an animal, commonly you're not perforating their skin. The blood is not going to be leaving their bodies, but they're going to get wounded. Now, there is some sort of netilas neshama, but based on the rule that what chayvel is chayiv Shabbos midoiraisa, only a chabala she'enoi chayzeres, only a irreversible wound. If blood left the body, that blood is irreversible. The body will generate new blood, but not the old blood. But if the blood only was removed from its source and went up, right, to under the skin, if it's going to reverse, you're not going to be chayiv. If it's irreversible, then you will be chayiv. How are you going to determine it? Well, you're seeing a bruise. How do you know whether it's going to reverse or not? That's the klal that no one will debate. If the skin is thick and halachically it's like hide, if you see the blood through it, ooh, that was a lot of blood. That's irreversible. If the status of that skin is thin, even though it looks reddish, who says it's irreversible? And you won't be chayiv. So the question is the hide of the shiratzim halachically hide oir, thick? Then you're chayiv for chayvul, or is it like their flesh? Now it's gavaldik, because as we'll begin learning in the Gemara, that we have a whole machlokes. We have this in Chulin. And the machlokes that we have over there is not Hilchas Shabbos, but Hilchas Tumah, right? As a klal, and nevela as a klal. Not every part of the nevela is matame, right? Remember, we learned the hooves, the bones, the horns. They're not matame. Only the basar of the nevela is matame. What about the flesh, the oil of the nevela? So that it depends. If it has a status of hide, then it is not matame. It's the opposite of here. If it's thin skin, then by hilchas tuma it is matame because it's like basar. But if it's thin skin, then even if it looks black and bluish, you are not chayv on chayvo because we'll say it's reversible. So that's the link. That's a big part of today's daf. Okay, let's go right to the Mishnah. Right, the Mishnah is not speaking about trapping yet. Let's go first in the opposite direction. Why? Because their skin is not hide. Their skin is thin, halachically. Even if it looks bruised, if blood did not leave them, it's reversible. What about trapping other shkatzim u'ramatzim? It depends what your kavanah was. Then you're chayiv. If you want them, right? However, shalei l'tzoydech means, like we just learned now, by a nachash, by an akrov, you want to prevent yourself from being harassed by them. But you don't want them. And we're going to go again. We're going to go that this goes into malacha she'ein tzricha legufa, and our Mishnah is following dafke Rab Shimon, and you put it. And if there's a danger, that's what we just learned. If there's a danger, they might bite you, then pater muter, because Chazal did not make a drabanan an isur of shvus wherever there's tsar or wherever there's a danger. Continuing in Sod, they are already in your control. So Sadan pater, because like we learned, you can't take away freedom from an animal that already has no freedom. So you did nothing. But when it comes to a chaya and a oif, halachically their hide, their skin is thick. It's called oir. If you see the bruise, that it's irreversible, and you're going to be chayiv. Beautiful. Says the Gemara, chayiv. Right? Our Mishnah spoke about all of the eight. All of the eight is the charaya that our Tanach holds. All of the eight have a din of hide. Well, again, a din of hide as it goes to hilchas tuma. That's a leniency, because if it has oil, and oil is not matama, even by a nevela, even by the shrotzim, only the basar is matama. So mantana oy bazoi, says the Gemara. Our Mishnah is not l'kula alma. Says Shmuel, it can only be Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. The Tanan, as we have, this is a whole topic we learned in Chulin, and there's a three-way machlokes tanoim as we learn in the sugya, that Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri oimer, all of the shmeina shrotzim yesh lem oyros. And therefore, just like when it comes to an avela, we spoke out, the horns is not matame. The hooves are not matame. The bones are not matame. The hide of the shmeina shiratzim is also a separate part. It's not part of the flesh. In other words, according to the Chachamim that argue with Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, we'll see soon what they hold, they're not aligned with our Mishnah. Because the Chachamim will hold at least that by some of the shmeina shiratzim, their oiron is mitame, because it has a din of a basar, then on those shiratzim, there's no chayvel in the case of the Mishnah that we're not speaking about blood leaving the body. We're only speaking about the skin looking bruised. And Mishnah did not differentiate. So says Shmuel. So Rabbi Barafuna Amarav. Rav disagrees. Afilu Temer Abanon. All the eight shiratzim's hide are thick. There's a machlekes in Chulin. And why does that come from? Even though, again, the mitzias of the hide of these shiratzim are thick enough for you to say that if you can see the bruise underneath it, it won't return the blood. It's thick. And therefore, you chayiv. Why, therefore, it should never be metame, right? Because it's not part of the basar. There is a yitur when the Torah uses the words ela, hat meim, and you can chop it with chazara from Chulin. So look inside the Rashi that there are various psukim. All of the eight are not in the same pasuk. So near the pasuk that speaks about the anaka, the koya, chalta, and chaymet. It's good to remember these four, right? By these four, the chachamim hold. I'm reading inside the Rashi. Oiroseim is mitamin. L'chora, the chachamim hold that by these four, right? Al mahani arba. There's no oil. Says Rav, no, there is oil. Still, the word hatmim is marbedem. And And by the way, the reason why the Chachamim are not marba all is because, like Rashi reminds us from Chulin, because there's another word, Eila. Eila is a miyut, So there is ha, the hay of hatmeim is marba, and the Eila is a miyut, and Ayin and Chulin. Why the Chachamim cut it down those four against those four? Abli and Shabbos, I feel it about Moide. So says Rav, and the Gemara is going to try, but not succeed in refuting Rav. Now we're going to have to learn Pshat in the Braisa. It says in the Braisa, this Braisa is not Tuma. This Braisa is Shabbos. It begins Hatzod. Or this is very important. The Rabbeinu Hananel adds a vav. So the Braisa, like our Mishnah, is juxtaposing Sod, whether kol should be minoi, that's the question, and the Shmoyne Shiratzim people hunt them, so you chayiv, and then the question is chayvel. Chayvel happens when you hunt many times. Or if you're chayvel, chayiv, divrei Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. Clearly, the Chachamim Oimrim, look at the words, these words will have to be amended. Ein oir ella, finally, Chavra, returning to Daf Kuf Zayin Amid Beis. Now these words will be changed. Ella lema shemanu chachamim. Ein oir ella lema shemanu chachamim. So hold on. These words are mamish nonsensical. Mamish, this brayse has to be right away amended. Before you go, how do you say these words? We just mentioned that the four, we write the anaka the koyach dalton the choymet. The chachamim were marbe that they are metama. Well, hold on, if they are metama, why are they metama? Because they don't have halachic oir. Because oir is not metame. Hooves are not matame. Horns are not. Only basar is matame. Oh, so Abaye says, okay, hold on. It must be that the amend the Beraisa. Ein oir choluk mi basar ela lama sheloi manu chachamim. Okay, but you see from the Beraisa that as they argue by Hilchas Tuma, here this Beraisa is juxtaposing it to Hilchas Shabbos and saying that according to the Chachamim, not all the Shmoyne Shiratzim will be chayiv for chayil. So Amalei Rava, no, don't refute Rav from this Braisa, because you quoted the Braisa, right away the words are mamish nonsensical. The Braisa says, you're amending it. You know what? I'll amend it, but I'll amend it differently. I'll amend it in a way where this Braisa does not challenge a law Rav. Now there's a big chiddush that Rav is saying over here that will be refuted. Elamar Rava, hachi kamer, zagazoi, ein oid, add these words. Now he's adding these words. Metame kibasar. The Braisa is not speaking about Shabbos. The Braisa, the Tanakama is speaking about Shabbos. The Chachamim are saying, Einoid metame kibasar el lamashimano Chachamim. Look inside Rashi, 9 lines from the top of the guys. This will be refuted right away. But the Rav is saying, as a havamina, vachi karmalei. This is what the Chachamim told Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. They ka'amart le'inyin Shabbos yesh lem oir. You who are saying that for Shabbos there is oir. And Rabbi is saying, I'll agree with that. Rabbi is saying, yeah, I've been later. But you are the Abel in Tuma, you, Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, hold, Oiroi Seim Kipsaran, you, Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, that's the Havamina here, holds that all of them are Metame. So the Chachamim tell Rabbi Yochanan, no. For Shabbos, I disagree with four. Four, yeah, four, not. Equivalent. The Hatmem and the Elam. But clearly, a Rav is adding words which makes it clear that the Chachamim agree by Shabbos, like Rav. Says the Gemara, no, you can't do it that way, because you just learned Pshat that Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri is holding that all of the oiros of the Shmoyne Shiratzim are metame. All of them are metame. No. Go back to the Mishnah and Chulin. In the Chulin it says Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri holds Shmoyne Shiratzim. All of them have a din of oil. All of them. If I can't, the Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri is more lenient by Tuma. The Chachamim are marbe from the Hay 4. Indeed, Ella, so now the final amendment, we're still amending the Braisa. The Braisa does not refute Rav. Take out the last word in the Kuf Zayin Amud Aleph. Take out the word Ella. That we can do. Don't say the Chachamim Oimrim Ein Oid Ella L'Mashemanu Chachamim. Take out the word Ella. The Chachamim Oimrim that Le'inyan Tuma Ein Oid L'Mashemanu Chachamim. Ein oid, again, that they are only arguing in this brisa by Tuma, as they argue in Chulin, that Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri is the lenient one. He says all of them have oid. And the Chachamim here are saying, hold on, for Tuma, ein oid elo l'ma shemanu Chachamim. We're adding the four like we mentioned. The Anaka, the Koren, the Alton, the Chaimet. But for Shabbos learns Rav, even the Chachamim will be moided that since b'mitzias the skin is thick on all of the eight, you're chayev chayvol. Still asks the Gemara, Shabbos, everyone agrees, like Pligi, they all hold that it is considered thick hide. Well, Tanya, we learned yet in a Nacha Braisa, Hatzad Echem Shmena Shiratzim Luna Batayra, or you're chayvol. You're chayiv, but here the Braisa adds only the shiratzim that have oiros. That means that there is a Tana that holds not all the shmona shiratzim have oiros. And then before we go back, and the Braisa continues, ve'ezehi chabura she'ena chizeres, right? That which is the definition of chabura. We're speaking again about blood that did not break through the skin. It's nitzrar hadam afal pi shelo yotza. Because if the dam left the body, then you always chayiv chayvul. I don't care if there's no hide. We're speaking about the blood never left the body, and so just because it looks black and blue, maybe it's going to go back to the way it was. If the skin is very thin, so it becomes black and blue easier, which means less blood left its place. That is chayzeres. It's only where there is oil. That's what we are explaining. And now on that, weiter in the Braisa, Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri Omer, Shmoyne Shiratzim Yesh Lem Oros, all of them have oiros. So you see there's a machlekes Tanoim, Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, and the Tanach, the Tanach is the Chachamim. So Amar Rav Ashi, Rav is right. The Chachamim over there in Chulin, that they are marba the four, and they exclude the other four by Tuma, they're moide to Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, that Le'ingen, Shabbos, Kabbalah, by all of them, all have oid. But there is another Tana, and this Braisa is the other Tana. The Azil, the Mantanakam Rabbi Yehuda, not the Chachamim. And indeed, Rabbi Yehuda goes after the Gishta, he follows the physical thickness of the skin, and the Tana Rabbi Yehuda differentiates not 4 and 4, we'll see 3 and 5. The Tanan, Vaiter and Chulin, you have the sheet of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda Ayman, that Halta'a is like a Chulda, meaning that it is thick. Thick, guys, for Shabbos is bad, for Tumah it's good. It does not convey Tumah. So he takes it out. Which ones then is you have Choymet, Koyach, and Anaka. The Altar is very good. It does not convey Tumah. Abel the Rabbanan and Chulin, even though they argue on Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri and Tumah, but you Rav are still right. But in Shabbos they're meider that they all do have oid and you're chayiv chayvol. If the Tanakam of this Braisa is Rabbi Yehuda, so why do we only quote Divrei Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri? The Tanakam is Rabbi Yehuda, so then the other shita should have been Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri and the Chachamim. And indeed the Gemara says that Divrei Yochanan ben Nuri and says the Gemara yet today I'll read amend the Braisa. Divrei Yochanan ben Nuri. Okay, very good. Says the Gemara, where do you get this principle? Everything we have been learning, whether it has a hide, whether it doesn't have a hide, is that definition of chayvol, which is connected to netilas neshama, if blood doesn't leave the body, is only if the wound is irreversible. Where do you know that from? Right? Is the only definition of a wound that has to be defined that way. So this is the answer, right? Rabbi is telling Levi, Hayapoich kushi oiroi, the number, a pasuk in Yirmiyahu, Chavar buraisav, can a kushi change the color of their skin? And the literal is, a number is a leopard. Can a leopard change its char buraisav? Now, what's the meaning of that? In other words, there are certain things that are not reversibles. They are the way they are. What's the meaning of this pasuk? Does it refer to the colored patches? Does it refer to the spots? Can a leopard lose its spots? Then the word is not good. It's like about a high the number chabur b'roisav. The pasuk should have read the number givanov. Chabur b'roisav has the shayrish of chabura, of a chayvel. Ella, no, we're saying that the definition of a wound is if the wound is like a kushi. Kakushi, the definition, the halachic definition of a wound for Hilchos Shabbos. Just like by a kushi, the color is irreversible. The kushi and chizeres, av chabura eino chizeres. Let's hop around another few minutes. Okay. It says in the Mishnah, Shar shkatzim. So first of all, over there, their skin, other shkatzim, their skin is thin. So if they are wounded, you're for sure not chayiv for chayvul. Are you chayiv for tzad? That depends whether minoi is nitzad or not. Not Rab Meir that we learned in the beginning of today's daf. So all of that is only wounding, which implies that if you would kill in any one of the shiratzim, hargan, you'll be chayiv. And by the way, hargan, my friends, like the Rishonim say, doesn't only mean killing. It means even if blood left, you're chayiv on all the shiratzim. Mantana, says the Gemara, that's not according to everyone. Amar Rabbi Yirmiyah, it can only be Rabbi Eliezer. The Tanya, we learned this in Nida. Rabbi Eliezer, Omer, Hahoyrek, Kina b'Shabbos. If you kill a louse on Shabbos, it's as if you killed a large animal, a gumel, a camel on Shabbos. Now, who would argue with that? I'll tell you who would argue with that. That a creature whose birth is not visible and something, many areas in halacha, it being discerned by the naked eye determines its status. Some types of lice, or in Lashon Yachid, louse, you can't even see its nit. The egg, is so little that you can't see it. And in such a case, perhaps it's not viewed as a creature that came into the world through Pirya Verivia, which produced an egg, and throughout came the animal. It looks like it has spontaneous generation. And anything that looks like, halachically, it has spontaneous generation, Bachlal might not be included in the dinim here of Natilas Neshama. So says the Gemara, Maskabo Rabbi Yosef, you're telling me that our Tana is only Rabbi Eliezer. Because they ain't a part of a Rava. Like we mentioned, since you don't see it coming into the world, some argue and they say that you're not going to be chayiv for Natilas Neshama. But when it comes to all other shkatzim v'namasim, since you see them coming into being, the parim v'ravim, everyone agrees that if blood were to leave them, if you were to kill them, you're chayiv for the same av Natilas Neshama. Size doesn't matter. And the Gemara adds, when it comes to Rabbi Eliezer and the Chachamim, Mushneim lo ylamdu ela me'elam, where do we have Natilas Neshama from? Where does that av come from? It comes from the fact that in the Beis HaMikdash, in the Mishkan, they would kill the rams to make the covering, right? The oil came from rams. Rabbi Eliezer holds ke'elim, in other words, the isur of Natilas Neshama, beginning with blood leaving the body or even getting wounded until dying, is taka learned from the elim. Ma'elim sheyesh v'hem Natilas Neshama af koil, even a louse, yesh v'Natilas Neshama. And Rabbanan hold, no, ke'elim, they have to be similar to the elim, that ma'elim, the parim v'ravim, their way of coming into being is through reproduction, male, female, and again, all of this, that's discernible to the eye. Af koil, the part of a rava, and that excludes the louse. Amalei Abaye v'kina ain't a part of a rava. V'amar mar Yosha HaKadosh Baruch Hu, v'zan, right? From mekarne re'emim, from the horns of the re'emim of the chveisvas, of the reindeers, ad beitzei kinim. The fact that he mentions beitzei kinim implies that you can see the beitzei of the kinim, and if you can see them, then them being born is considered something that comes through Pirya Verivia. So the Gemara answers, no. Beitzei kinim is not referring to the eggs of lice. There is a certain type of louse that is called beitzei kinim. But those that you cannot see coming into the world are halachically not considered part of the Ravim. Again, it says in another brayso, tefuye, it's a name of a psasheretz, ubeitzei kinim. There also, sometimes beitzei kinim is not referring to a nit. There's a type of louse that's called beitzei kinim. Parish is a flea, and you can see the flea coming into the world of part of a Rava, and yet we learned hatzad parish b'Shabbos, machloikis whether you're chayiv or not. So the Gemara says, good. Don't confuse hunting, trapping, and wounding. Trapping depends whether minoi nitzad. And indeed, people don't go hunting fleas. Amar Ravashi, tzida aharigo karamis. No. At kan lepsig Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yeshua only. The Mar Sover, Mar goes on Rabbi Eliezer. that even davar she'ein b'mina nitzad, like we had before Rav Meir, you're still chayiv. So therefore, you're chayiv for trapping. Umar Sava Rabbi Shua holds that when it comes to trapping, since people don't trap fleas, you're going to be potter. But that's only going to give them malacha of trapping. No, everyone is going to hold that even no matter how little it is, as long as it is a creature who's coming into the world is discernible to the eye, then netilas neshama l'kula alma is applicable, and therefore let's go back. If blood left it, l'kula alma yachayiv. The whole issue in our Mishnah is that the blood did not leave its body. Blood was only brought up to the surface. And again, if the skin is so thin, even though you see that it's red, it's going to be chayvel. That's chayvel. Wounding means irreversible. Reversible wounding is not called wounding. God willing, to be continued.
What about an animal that's born in a laboratory today with genetics? They play around with that stuff.
It's part of an oven. There's a male and a female. There's a male and a female.
It's not discernible to the eye when it's created.
Well, I think if I understand correctly, it's when it comes into the world. When a baby is born, no one can see the size of the sperm. Mamish. No, I don't know how big the egg is, but it's not discernible. The word here by the Beit Zekirim is that some nits are so little that you can't see the nit. So when it comes out of the egg, you don't see it being born from an egg. An egg, comes from a male, female. So when it's when it comes into the world, Samach. That's the
Rabbi, with the killing of these nits and kinim, where does Malacha Shenetzich Lagufa come in over here?
Mamish Gavaldik, very good, very, very good. So you don't want to kill it because you want the nit dead. It's great. You want to kill it because you don't want it to bite you. So that's Malacha Shenetzich Lagufa. And let's go right. That's like in the day in the Tzvika. And normally Malacha Shenetzich Lagufa is only pater. We pass them like Rab Shimon. But since you don't want it to bite you, there's tsa'ar muter.
And do we say psik ratio on something like that?
No. We don't say psik ratio.
Even though we know we're taking its life?
I have to remember why. But how can you trap a snake? No. I got it, Tzvika. Psik ratio is by double shem eschaven. Take that back. So we say if it's psik ratio, you have kavana. We're not speaking about double shem eschaven. I want to kill it. It's like psik ratio the whole time. I'm killing it. I'm not killing it because I want it. I'm killing it because I want to remove the harassment that it's doing to me. It's preventative according to Rashi. Every malacha shem seichel is psik ratio.
So psik ratio is dafka when he's not mechaven.
Psik is when there's something else that I'm arguing, I don't have kavana, so the counter is you don't have kavana, it's going to happen, you have kavana. Very good.
Got it.
All right.